Welcome to the Breaking the Barriers podcast, brought to you by Resilience Mindset, a division of Justine Martin Corporation. This podcast is your front row seat to inspiration, empowerment, and real-life stories that will leave you in awe. Join our host Justine Martin, CEO and founder of Resilience Mindset, as we dive into the incredible lives of the 27 models featured in the groundbreaking community project, Breaking Barrier Stories Through the Lens. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and get ready for stories that will uplift, empower, and inspire.
Today on the podcast, we're joined by the inspiring Deb Fribbins, a seasoned professional and passionate advocate. Diagnosed with diabetes over 25 years ago, Deb has balanced her health, career, and personal life with grace and determination. With decades of experience in retail, including 26 years at Target, Deb has broken barriers in her field, paving the way for others. Now retired, Deb channels her energy into consulting for small businesses, supporting Rotary initiatives and running the Geelong Art Show, a charity she founded. Her message is clear: disabilities don't define you, they just become a part of the journey. Let's welcome the resilient and empowering Deb Fribbins to the show. Hi Deb, welcome.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
I started my career come from Adelaide originally, and started my career with Myer. I went and applied for a school holiday job, and they gave me a cadetship. And in those days, Myers used to run really good proper training programs that were recognised. So that was lovely. I was there for nearly 10 years, and I left to have my son. 15 months later, I had the second son. And my old boss rang me up and said, "Duff, get your ass in here." That was my interview, literally. And so I did that, and then I did that for 8 years. In that time, Myers went from state by state line to national. So I couldn't go back to Myer, and he'd moved to David Jones. So I went into, John Martin's. I went into John Martin's, and I worked for them for 7 years, and then I got offered a job here in Target. So I came across, 26 years later I left. And I've been out on my own for 13 years now, and I love it. I love helping people. My passion is to support wherever I can. So with small businesses, I can work with them and do as much as I can to...
So when were you diagnosed with diabetes?
About 26 years ago. I'm very naughty with dates for things like that, because you've got it. It doesn't matter what date it was for my mind. It was diet controlled completely for the first 15 years, but the last 10 years it's progressively got worse, and it does have repercussions as you get older, which I don't like. But yeah, diabetes is not, can be terminal if you're stupid. You can obviously go into a diabetic coma or something, but I try to monitor it as much as possible and do the right thing with the foods that I eat and try to keep healthy. Believe it or not.
We all carry a little bit there. I'm sure your doctor's always telling you every time you go in there.
My doctor that's just retired, I went from obese to grossly obese to morbidly obese.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because when I asked you to be in this project, you didn't see diabetes as a disability.
Correct.
But it actually, what it causes becomes impacting on your life, that it does make you disabled. So weight is a big one, and you've just said, you went in obese and then...
grossly and then morbidly.
Yeah.
Weight is my biggest killer. I don't actually eat huge meals, but obviously I don't eat the right food for my metabolism, because it doesn't matter how hard I try, I lose weight. I think one of the biggest problems that I've created for myself over the years is that because of work, I'd have lunch once a month, seriously. And I'm not talking about a big lunch, I'm talking about a sandwich. You just don't stop. You work through all day, and particularly when I was working, I did a short-term 3 months with Harris Scarves and 5 months with Myer after I'd retired. And with each of those, you just don't have time. And I had an apartment in Melbourne, so I'd have nothing for lunch, and then I'd have a can of Coke and a packet of chips for tea, which was not particularly healthy.
No.
Because, 9 o'clock...
not good for your diabetes.
Oh, God, no. And at 9 o'clock, 9:30 when you get home, and you're on your own, you just don't feel like cooking for yourself. So that I think has exacerbated, and my body has got used to the fact that it doesn't have a lunchtime meal, so it kind of stores whatever's there to keep me going.
The fuel. So how has your disability shaped who you are today?
That's a very good question. I guess it's about choices is the way that I describe it to people. You know, you can make the choice, and I know people who have, oh my God, I've got diabetes, I can't ever work again, I can't do anything, which in my view is not correct. You just manage it to the best of your ability and you go about doing your daily job, but be mindful of what you're doing. So try and eat better food.
So it's always on your mind,
oh, God, yes. Every day, every minute of the day.
For the last 25 years.
Yeah. You know, you open the pantry and I try not to buy things that I shouldn't eat. I've always been one who likes to have nuts and chips and cheeses in the fridge in case somebody comes so that you can just do a quick little...
Are you loving the podcast so far? Imagine the possibilities if you had Justine Martin guiding you through your writing journey. Whether you're crafting your next big book or perfecting a personal project, Justine's expertise can elevate your work. Don't miss out on the chance to work with a seasoned pro, ready to take your writing to the next level. Message us today and let's make your writing dreams come true.
What challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them?
I guess part of the things that are hardest, well, because I worked in the fashion industry with Myer and Target and Don Martens, you kind of feel obligated that you have to look your best all the time. And the bigger you get, you don't look right. So that's on your mind all the time as well, that you don't want to.
So the stress that you put yourself under.
Yeah.
And that doesn't do good for diabetes stress either.
No, certainly not.
Yeah.
And there's been other things that, like, one compounds the other. I get really bad pustular psoriasis, and that's brought on by stress, which you can't attribute the whole thing to diabetes, but certainly that hasn't helped, and the implications of what that has on the rest of your life. Yeah. But as I said, you make choices in life, and my choice is that I don't want to sit down and watch TV all day. I want to help people, and I want to be as active as I can for as long as I can.
Can we ask how old you are, Deb?
Do you have to?
Well, I think you look exceptionally good for your age. So.
Thank you. No, I've just turned 17.
You have. You had a great party too.
I did indeed. I enjoyed it.
What does breaking barriers mean to you personally?
Again, I've broken a few barriers over the years. I was the second only female in the history of Myer, South Australia, in two of the departments I worked in, because, women don't have responsible jobs like that. They're for men. I became the corsetry buyer. I was the third ever in the history of Myer, South Australia, to be the corsetry buyer. And they actually sent me to Melbourne to meet with Hickory, and I had a full day with Hickory to go through the production, which was great. But I found out afterwards the reason they sent me to Hickory, who were our biggest stakeholder, was to see whether they approved of me or not.
Oh.
So the interview was not I got the job with Myer, but whether I moved into that particular role or not was whether I would cope with dealing with men, because the corsetry industry was run entirely by men. There were no women. I mean, what would women know about their bodies?
Yeah,
seriously.
Wearing a bra.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about breaking the barriers with a disability.
If you have diabetes, it's self-caused because you don't eat properly, you're overweight, you're not doing the right thing by your life. And people do say that quite often.
Which is false.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is exasperated by your weight, but it's got nothing to do with... Like, your weight doesn't cause the diabetes.
Yeah.
The what you eat, the diet that you're on, and I don't mean diet, I mean
the food choices.
Food choices, exactly. So I guess I don't see them as barriers, because if there are things that come up, you just deal with it and move on.
What about have people ever said anything to you in regards to you having diabetes? Is it something that you actually share?
No, I don't. I don't normally tell people. And it's interesting because even people, and I found this out just recently, I've been in Rotary for 26 years since I've been here, and Rotary, as you know, is my family. I love my Rotarians. But one of the guys got up just recently and said something about cakes and lollies, and Deb, you would know all about that, because he assumed because you're big, you eat cakes and lollies. Not because of diabetes, but I've never been a sweet tooth. Give me a savoury and eat up nuts, chips, the fat and the sugar in nuts and chips.
Cheese.
Cheese.
You
I'm a
love
cheese nut. I am. That was Myers' fault. I blame them for that. They sent me to Paris years ago. Oh, the cheeses in Paris are just beautiful. So
I'll take your
get
word
some-
on that. I'm lactose intolerant, so you know.
You don't know what you're missing. They're just divine. The cheeses that we used to eat when I was a child, my father called soap. Because you remember the blue craft in the packet that you didn't even put in the fridge?
Yeah.
That to me was soap. Was cheese, but not now.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about writing your own book? Join the Morpheus Publishing Writing Group program and turn your dream into reality. Contact Morpheus Publishing today and start your journey to becoming a published author.
What goals do you have for your future?
I still want to make a mark. Not to be, I don't care about being world, beautiful person.
Yeah.
I want to make a mark in retail where I can help other retailers. When I help somebody, my very first client put on a 48% increase in the first month. And that to me was enormous. I got such a kick out of that.
What about personal goals?
Oh, personal goals? No, they're all work ones. Personal goals, I want to live to be at least 90. I want to see my grandchildren grow up. I have 2.5 granddaughters now. So I want to be able to see them to make something of their lives.
Yeah.
And to be there for my kids for support if ever they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got 2 sons?
I have 2 sons. One lives in Texas, the other lives in Perth. So I don't get to see a lot of them, but they keep in contact.
How do you stay motivated and positive despite the challenges that you face with your diabetes?
I think, again, my doctor told me once that he thought that I was non-compliant because I don't necessarily do things by the book, because I don't actually think the book is 100% right, and everybody's bodies are different and everybody's bodies react differently. So you make a choice in life. If you're going to allow yourself to become I have a friend who currently is 260 kilos and he has diabetes and he can't walk and his feet are failing, he'll end up having amputations, I'm sure.
And this is what we're talking about with the disabilities that diabetes actually cause. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I try to make choices that enable me to continue to do whatever it is that I want to do. I don't want to be an invalid. I don't want other people to have to look after me. I'm way too independent for that.
Do you have a support system?
I have some beautiful friends who are very supportive, and I know a couple of friends that I can ring if ever I'm really worried about something and talk in confidence to them. But I try not to burden friends. My father's basic word in life was always, you don't take your work to home and you don't take your home to work. So I try not to burden people.
You've got a good doctor now.
Yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, and that's important, isn't it, to have a good support system with a medical team, and then have those close friends that you can pick up the phone and offload to them.
I'm with a dietitian, which I've never heard of. She's not a dietitian, she's a dietitian.
Oh.
And she's been really good. I've only been seeing her 3 times, so that's recent. And I'm under an endocrinologist again.
Yep.
And Audrey's quite nice. She's a Chinese, I think. She's Asian. She's lovely, really nice girl. So, I try to follow their their lead. Doesn't help with the weight an awful lot, but anyway.
Keep going.
Yes,
will.
absolutely.
It will. How do you think sharing your story will influence others or your community?
I would hope that people would sit back and just think, well, if she can do it, I can.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line. And I want to say to people, diabetes is not, I was going to say not terminal, but that's not true, because it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And if you make the right life choices and you do a little bit of exercise and you watch the foods that create your biggest problems. I didn't have any education in food and so on. And I have to tell you, I was 60 before I found out that carbohydrates have a lot of sugar in them.
Carbohydrates are sugar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I am a carbohydrate free, and that's my problem.
Yeah.
I love fresh bread and biscuits and barbecue shapes and all that kind of stuff. And you just have to make decisions. I don't buy them anymore.
Yeah.
They're in the cupboard. Well, they're not in the cupboard, so I can't.
So in your case, although you've got diabetes, which can then potentially lead to major disabilities, you can control what you're doing so the disabilities aren't so severe going forward.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like with me, with the MS. You know, I weight train 3 days a week. I definitely watch what I eat, what I can and can't have, and I'm being proactive in my own self-care to help slow down the progression of the disease. So
yes.
You would be the same.
Yep.
Yeah. What hobbies or activities are you passionate about?
Everybody keeps asking me that just recently. I seriously don't have any hobbies. And I think that's actually and it's something that I really should address because I don't have any hobbies at all. My hobbies are helping other people, and if I haven't got a client that day, I'll go and find somebody to help somewhere somehow that's packing up their house or doing something. I used to have hobbies years ago, but I brought up 2 boys on my own from ages of 4 and 5, and they were virtually my hobby. Both boys were in Scouts, and then Michael went into tennis, and I was chief cook and bottle washer, the only taxi driver around, did all the Scout camps, took Mike to tournaments.
So you got a fun hobby?
Yeah, not painting.
No, she says not painting because Deb reckons that she can't draw a stick figure, but we've proved that wrong. We've been to many John's Art finger painting classes.
And I've actually got 3 of them hanging in my home.
There you go. So don't tell me that you can't paint because I know that you can. How do you find joy and fulfillment in your daily life?
Again, work. I'm sorry. I bury myself in my work. I buried myself in my kids for many years, but now they live in Perth and Texas. I don't tend to do a lot of that. So I bury myself in work, and I do a lot of charity work. I've been in Rotary for...
That's nearly become a hobby.
Yeah, I suppose. I love Rotary. The other thing with Rotary is that the people are all family to me. Yeah. They're beautiful human beings. The husbands, the wives, everybody is so helpful and supportive.
Well, they're the family you choose.
Correct. And I started my own charity 2 years ago, the Geelong Art Show, and that's very... overwhelming.
Overwhelming?
Yes. There's a lot of work. We're coming into the last 3 weeks now, and there's just so much to do in those days, as much as you prepare. We're further advanced than we were last year, so we've learned and we're moving along. But yeah, there's a lot of work, and I guess that's my hobby too, is charity work.
100% I'd agree on that.
Yeah.
Who are your role models or sources of inspiration?
It's always work. I'm sorry. I've had 2 bosses over the years that I really, really thoroughly enjoyed working on. And funnily enough, they worked together at one point and I hated each other with a passion. But Alex was an amazing man. He did things differently to the rest of the world, but he was very good. He was excellent. And a lady called Nari, who lives now in New South Wales, was also very supportive. She was amazing. So I find that from a work perspective, they're really inspirational. And outside of that, as you know, I'm madly in love with Simon Sinnop.
Yes.
I think I just love the way that he does things and his
knowing your why.
Yep, absolutely. Very important. And I would have killed to have met Nelson Mandela. You wouldn't get anybody more resilient than that man. He just really admired him.
What message would you like to share with the world through this project?
I guess the message really is do what you want to do and get off. Don't find excuses not to. Don't use your disability as an excuse. Get out there and look at people who are achieving 1 or 2 things in their day. We were just saying before you walked in, how do you get through that huge list that you've got on the wall over there? My list is not as long as yours. But you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to keep you motivated and keep you focused on something other than yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And why did you want to participate in this project?
I think the reasons that I just said. It's about trying to inspire people to make something of their lives and to feel that, or to know that they can achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve.
And to think that there are different disabilities as well.
I've learned a lot from you, as much as anybody else in the couple of things we've done together about disabilities. And, I very much hate anybody who puts people with a disability down. That I just... Okay. All people are equal. I don't care whether you're the King of England or the garbage picker-upper. All people are equal, and it's really important that you treat people equally, find out what their issues are and support them. Retail is no different, which is my background. You find out what your customers want and you give them what they want. So from a work perspective, I do the same in my life perspective. And if somebody has a disability and they're in a wheelchair, well, they can't cope with steps. So what do? You put a ramp in of some description if they're going to come, or you find a different door for them to get in where they don't have to contend with steps. It doesn't matter what their disability is or how bad it is, work with them. We've got 2 girls in our Rotary Club that have got cerebral palsy. One is very poorly speech impeded, has a speech impediment, and she is now only at 40 starting to use,
We interviewed her.
Oh, did you? Nicole
Was interviewed. Yeah. So she's in this project.
She's lovely. She does everything that she can for Rotary. There are some things she can't do, and she knows that, so she doesn't put her name up. You don't have to do everything of every project. But she works a little butt off. The other girl that has CP is in a wheelchair, so she is even more restricted because of some of the things that we do. But again, she tries to do as much as possible. And every week for months now, don't forget I'll help you at the art show. Don't forget I'll be there to help you. Because that's something she can do. She can wheel in, she can wheel out. There's a ramp where she needs to go. And
it's knowing what you can and can't do with your own body, your own life, and that as well.
Absolutely. Neither of those girls are mentally impaired at all. Their brains are still as good as anybody else's, so use them.
Yeah,
you make them feel worthwhile. It's not using them in the bad sense. It's using them to give them a sense of purpose and making them feel good.
Their self-worth.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other final words?
Get out there and do it. Good on Mr. Nike, just do it. Yeah. Don't find a reason to not be able to do it. Stick to your guns, and if that's what you want to do, find a way to do it.
Yeah, good words there. Thanks for participating in the project. It's been great to have you.
Thank you, darling. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Breaking the Barriers. We hope these stories inspired you as much as they inspired us. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media at Resilience Mindset. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see how these stories resonate with you. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast today so you never miss an episode. Together, let's continue to celebrate resilience, diversity, and the power of storytelling. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep breaking those barriers.